Hey, happy Monday. How are you guys doing? Okay, I feel like my camera's fuzzy, but we're gonna get that fixed. Okay. How was your weekend, everybody? I'll give it a couple minutes for people to jump on here before we start. We're gonna finish up our Wild in the Hollow book club. Can y'all see how many pages I have dog-eared in this book? Does yours look like that? Because we've only hit like a quote or two per chapter, but this whole thing is just underlined and just full of little pages. Look, both sides. I've dog-eared both ends of this book. So sadly, I will not be lending this one out to anyone. It's mine. I'm keeping it. I have all kinds of notes in the margins. So I love that you guys have been. It is a lot of pages dog-eared, isn't it? Yes, I love this book. There's so much good stuff. So I'm sad that today is our last day to talk about it, but I don't know. Did you guys like the Periscope book club format? I'd love to know. If you don't want to tell me on here, you can just you can email me, or if you head over to my blog, you can go to crystalstein.me/contact, I think, and there's a contact form there, and you guys can send me a message and let me know. If you did like it and you have an idea for another book that we could do for Periscope Book Club, you can send me ideas too. I would love to know that. So, y'all, I am tired. It was a big weekend again. We don't apparently have slow, calm, sleepy weekends with the toddlers, so we did a lot. We were bouncing around, and we were at friends last night for a campfire, and it was just so nice sitting outside. And there's something about sitting around a campfire, and when it gets kind of dark and you really are able to open up and have better conversations with people. I don't know, there's just something about that. So had some really good affirming conversations last night, some hilarious conversations because we love to laugh. And so it was really good, but I'm just starting off the week just tired. And if you would ask me how I'm doing, I would probably not say fine, because that's not really my go-to answer, but I'm tired, and I travel. I travel tomorrow and Wednesday away from home, so I'm packing, I'm trying to get work done, I'm trying to do everything. So it is a lovely break in the middle of my day to come hang out with you guys and talk about Wild in the Hollow. So let's get to it. We're going to wrap it up today. So we are chatting about chapters 13 through the end, not the acknowledgments, but you know, the ends of the chapters. So what I'm going to do is just read a couple of the parts that stood out to me. You guys can feel free to chat and comment. I would love for you, if you have read Wild in the Hollow and you had a favorite part or some way that something that Amber said stood out to you, or something that you've written down that you want to keep and remember, or if there's something that you would just like to thank her for writing, if you would want to share that, I would love to share those with her. So go ahead and leave those in the comments as we're chatting, and then I'll make sure she gets those. So, all right, let's dive in, right? So, I know that she has given her chapters very lovely names, but as I was reading, I'm like, oh, chapter 13 feels like the joy chapter to me. And I love this chapter. Well, okay. Let's just have a disclaimer. I love all the chapters. They are all amazing. So I'm just not even going to bother to say it for any other ones. But there is something she says on 146, which as I was reading today, because yes, I read this morning. I did not read ahead. And so I was reading it this morning, feeling very, very tired and very weary. And she says on 146, she talks about the work of rest. It says, when leaning into the Spirit, it is not a process of mere hearing and then being okay. It is always an active work, a doing, but it is a work in conjunction. It is the work of receiving. It is the work of moving forward in intimacy and in rest. I wanted to know the Spirit of God, and so I asked him to help me know and then act on the knowledge. It was the only way I could be pulled out of my own head. So there's something so important, I think, about what she says there about it's the work of moving forward in rest. And I think that when we talk about Sabbath and we talk about rest, I think that we sometimes confuse rest with laziness. At least I do, and I can sometimes feel like if I'm not going and doing and hustling and making things happen, then I'm not doing enough and I'm being lazy. But God rested, right? So if I am choosing not to, what is that saying about my perception of God and what He has chosen to do? And so it was really eye-opening for me that in the midst of a very, very busy season for me right now, and I know a lot of you are doing back to school, and this end of summer season can just get really busy. I have a lot going on. I have a lot that's going to happen over the next couple months, and so it was really important for me to read this today and just know that rest takes work. It is not laziness. It is actively seeking God in that rest. And it's being purposeful, and it's not letting things go, and just not doing things that you have to do, but actually being very intentional about your rest so that you can have the energy and the motivation to keep going when Monday morning rolls back around, right? So maybe your Sabbath doesn't happen on Sunday. Maybe you have a different rest day that you've built in. I don't have any. I don't even think I have a rest hour built in. I honestly don't even sleep well. So rest is something that is hard for me. And so, which is funny, as an introvert, you would think that it would be easier, that I would just be like, oh, I'm just going to go read a book and rest. It doesn't work that way for me. If I don't have things to do, I start to feel kind of agitated and anxious. I like people telling me what to do. I like to have a full schedule. So that was a really, really important part for me to read right now. And just that intentionality of being able to stop, unplug a little bit maybe, and refill. Because if I'm committed to doing these other things, right? So I'm committed to taking care of myself, personally, and reading devotions, and making sure that what I'm putting into my head is good so that what comes out is good, right? Garbage in, garbage out, all that. Like, I want good stuff going in so good stuff comes out. The same with, taking care of my body and exercising. If I'm committed to being stronger so that I'm able to be healthy and ready to go when God asks me to, then I should be willing to say that rest is important for me too, because that's something I need to be rested and ready to go and have the energy to do what God is asking me to do, not just the strength. So that was there's like half a sentence in this chapter, and I adored it. So I wanted to share that one. And then over on, let's see. Oh, okay, so in this chapter, have you guys read this far? Are you with me? Are you tracking? This is the Haiti chapter where she introduces her trip, which is so beautiful, and her perspective on it is just so wonderful. And I love how she talks about Help One Now, which is an organization that I really admire and love what they do. So I was so glad to read this part in here. So let's switch over. We're going to go to 160. And so this is, she's talking about how she saw Jesus in the church here. So she said, I saw Jesus in the church there being Haiti. Keeping my eyes on him in my everyday life has come to mean that I recognize the fruit of the Spirit in others while simultaneously acknowledging him as my hope up ahead, the one sitting at the right hand of the Father. I see through to the other side of the visible, through to the unseen, the kingdom of God and how we fit into this kingdom. I recognize Jesus because I know him, and keeping my eyes on him means to see through this world to him how holy potential hides in us all. So one of the things that I am super passionate about is collaboration over competition. And there was something about this quote that she shared that really felt very authentic and true to that passion that I have, where she says that the piece about recognizing the fruit of the Spirit in others, and then how holy potential hides in us all. And there is something really wonderful when you are around people who pull that holy potential out in you and recognize the fruit of the Spirit in you, because I think that a lot of times we can forget maybe that we've been given gifts and talents by God that he's gifted us to use, and because they feel natural to us, or they feel like something that we don't have to maybe work as hard for, it doesn't feel like it's worth as much as if we had to put in a lot of effort. And there's something really, really wonderful when somebody can look at you and pull that out of you and celebrate that in you, what God has given you. And so that to me was such an important piece of just how we can be the hands and the feet of the church to one another, especially online. I think it's really important to be able to do that to people that we meet online, to really pour encouragement and affirmation over them and into the gifts that God's given them, because what they're doing is important and they might not ever hear it. And so encouragement is a big thing for me, and I really love that, the recognizing the holy potential that hides in us all. So hopefully this week, as we're going about, I would love us to just be intentional with that, right? Maybe just pray that God would reveal that in the people He brings in front of us as we're going about our week. Maybe He would give us a special opportunity to identify that potential and that gift in someone, and just to call it out in them and let them know that it's really important and what they do matters, even if it feels like it's something that is smaller, maybe invisible a lot of times. So that's going to be my prayer this week as I travel, especially, that maybe I'd have that opportunity. All right, so chapter 14, moving along. Okay, so y'all, I'm basically just going to read my favorite parts, because I can't really say it any better than she did. Okay, so I don't know. Y'all probably are not following along. If you're watching the replay, maybe you are. I feel kind of funny saying, now flip to page 169. If you want to flip, that's where we're going. Okay. To me, this part really, really stood out. Probably because I am a blogger and I've had all of these emotions and things go through my head. So this is just a recap where she is in her story. So she's gotten home from Haiti, and she's sort of assessing life as she left it and seeing what matters, right? Okay, so at 169, she says, I wrote a blog post and wanted to be understood. I checked back in 10 minutes. Did anyone care? It's like when I do a Periscope and I'm like, is anybody commenting? Are there hearts? No. Is my platform growing? How can I make my platform grow so I know that my words matter? I wanted the gift of powerful words. I wanted power, wanted to have something to offer, to be known. How much do you want to be known? How often in the church are we thinking about being known? What consumes us? If out of the heart the mouth speaks, what do we talk about? My life is built on nothing less than what I buy and how I dress. And that, first of all, just beautifully written, right? So, how often are we thinking about being known? And it's hard. It's so hard, because there's so much out there, especially when it comes to blogging and social media, that tells you how to build a platform. There are whole conferences that you can attend that are Christian conferences, but they're all about, every session and every seminar is about building your platform and how to grow larger and how to develop your niche and how to use keywords and how to do all this stuff so that you can be known and your words can go further and you can share your message. And none of it's bad, right? But we're not called to be the ones who are known. We're called to be the ones who make Christ known to the ends of the earth. And so the thing when I catch myself starting to focus more on whether or not I'm being known is that I have to remind myself that God has done more without the internet than I have done with it. And so I can write a blog post that no one sees, and He can do something with it that I will never see on this side of heaven, right? So when we start to worry about being known, when we start to worry about platform, when we start to worry about all of that stuff, we're not supposed to shine the spotlight on us. Everything that we do is supposed to shine the spotlight on Christ. So as we write this week, as we speak this week, as you get opportunities this week and you're weighing things, trying to decide, is this a yes or a no? Is this good for me or not? I would just encourage us to think about who gets the glory in it, right? Are we saying yes because we get the glory in it, or are we saying yes because it's an amazing opportunity for us to shine that light back on Christ and maybe bring hope or healing or encouragement into the life of someone else through His word, not ours? So, see, it's like 3 sentences, and there I go. It's amazing. This book, I don't even know. All right, so I want to just read really quickly because I feel like maybe somebody needs to hear this, and maybe it was me. On 172. I'm so glad that was a timely quote for you, Tiff. That makes me happy. All right, so in 172, she says, guilt and shame always say that there's no hope, but the sorrow that comes with repentance told me that hope is all I have. So I don't know if that was a word that you needed to hear this week, but there is hope. And guilt and shame might say that there is none, but in repentance, there always is. So that kicks off a whole section that I think is really important that people read. So if you have the book, I would recommend that you just dig deep into that piece, because I think that there's a lot of freedom that comes from what she shares in there that I'm not going to try to share with you on Periscope, because I think that's when you might have to work out on your own. All right, we're moving along. Chapter 15. Okay, so this goes along. Apparently I was really into this whole I need to rest thing this morning when I was reading this, because on 179, where she's talking about her trip to Italy, which, oh, I just so desperately wanted to be there. I felt like I could smell the smells and see the things, and it's on my list. It's on my list of places I would love to go someday. I took Italian in college. I was not good at it, but for some reason I was not thinking when I signed up for a language, and ignored the 4 years of Spanish I had taken and decided to try something new instead of testing out of a class. I don't know. So while I can correctly pronounce an awful lot of Italian food, I cannot speak the language to save my life, but I still really want to go. All right, on 179, she says, there is room for pondering. Words can be bookended with quiet. I'm pretty sure I'm going to make that into some kind of print that I put in my room, in my office somewhere. Words can be bookended with quiet. And there's room for pondering. I think so often I just move on. I was talking to a friend this morning, and I said something about it being hassle-free, hustle-optional or something. And I don't think I ever gave myself an option to not hustle. There's no room for pondering. There's no room for just sitting and enjoying and taking a deep breath and just being okay and in the moment, being present, right? And so I love that reminder that there is room for pondering. We don't have to go and push and constantly create, especially as creatives, right? So we get to this point where we're just pouring out, we're creating and producing and making all the time, and we can get burnt out. I'm feeling like super, super close to the edge of that right now, and just trying to find ways to say no to things, to be able to build pondering time in my life, I guess, where I can bookend the projects with some quiet, because I need to stop and refuel a little bit. So I don't know if you guys have ways that you do that, that you intentionally build some pondering into your lives, but I would be happy to hear any suggestions you have, because I'm looking for some. All right, so 184, she said, I was made for joy. How awesome is that sentence? It made me think, what would you say there? So, and you guys can just chat if you want to there in the comments, but what would you say? I was made for blank. Hers says, I was made for joy. When I laugh, it's a loud invitation. You know, I don't know what I would fit in there. I don't know if I would say I was made for joy. I might say that I was made for napping. No, kidding. Totally kidding. But I don't know. I'd love to hear what you guys think about that one. What do you feel like you were made for? If you have something other than joy that you want to put in there. All right. So I'm going to read what she has on 187 while you guys think about what you were made for, because I think it's incredibly encouraging. And I think that it is a message that we need to share. Oh, you're doing a Priscilla Shire study. Breathe in. Yes. Oh, okay. I'm going to have to check out that study. That sounds amazing. You were made for calm. Oh, I love that. Oh, yes. Please keep posting these. I want to read them then. Okay. So in 187, she says, we are the church, and the gospel makes us so. There's no believing and leaving the church. We are the church, satisfied in God alone. Satisfied in God alone. How much freedom comes with that, right? When we're not constantly seeking and striving for something else to be that satisfaction. I do not care if you're in a bar, a ditch, a hospital bed, or behind a podium on a stage. I don't care if you were born mute or blind or with Down syndrome. I don't care if you're rolling in cash or looking on the sidewalk for change. Are you the man who changes light bulbs or picks up trash in the stadium? Are you the one who prays exquisite prayers? It does not matter where you are, who you are, or how educated you are. In Christ, you are the church. And there was something, I just think that that's powerful, right? It's almost a commissioning. You are the church. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter any of those things. It doesn't matter what title would be on your business card, if you would even have a business card. It doesn't matter if your office is in your home or in an office building or at a bank or in a well-known city. It doesn't matter if you're in a small town. It doesn't matter. It says, in Christ, you are the church. And I think when we have that perspective on it, doesn't it change how we love our neighbors? When we see the church not as a building we go to, but as the people who God has here in our lives, right? So how differently would we treat people? And how much more would we focus on saying kind words and being encouraging and lifting one another up and not tearing one another down if we realize that that's the church that we're doing that to? It's not just somebody else who we perceive as getting in our way or who makes us uncomfortable, right? So just an amazing, beautiful commissioning, and I hope that you receive that today. Okay, so we're going to wrap it up. Chapter 16. We are finishing. It's the last chapter. I'm going to really need some book ideas after this, y'all, so send me some good ones. I really like this one. It was challenging. It was hard to do this one as a book study because I didn't want to necessarily share as much personal stuff as I ended up sharing in this one, but maybe that's good. I don't know. All right, so on 193, she says, I decided to love my life and to be satisfied in Jesus. I wanted to live as his friend. I wanted to believe the love of my Father, to be his girl child. How awesome is that? I mean, I decided to be satisfied in Jesus. I love that she says that like it's not this thing that happened because of this trip to Italy or her trip to Haiti or any of the other things that she shared in her book. It was this decision that she made intentionally to be satisfied in Jesus. And I think it takes a lot of work because it's not really easy. I mean, we get other things thrown at us that we should be satisfied in. We go to the store and we go shopping for back to school clothes and we're told that we should be dissatisfied with everything in our closet because it doesn't look like any of those things. Or, you know, we're told that we should be dissatisfied with how we look because we don't eat these things or shop there or do that workout or whatever. And that's not it. That's not where our ultimate satisfaction comes from. And those things are so temporary. I mean, I think about the things that I spent money on in college that I thought would bring me satisfaction, that would give me this sense of belonging at this very, very wealthy college where, you know, I didn't show up wearing designer anything freshman year, and everyone around me was labeled from head to toe, right? And so I thought that that's what would bring me satisfaction. Do you know how many of those things I still own? None. The things of this world are so fleeting, and our satisfaction in them is so temporary. And when we find satisfaction, when we make that decision consciously to make that effort every day to be satisfied in Jesus, to be his friend, because he built us for a relationship with him, not just to follow a whole bunch of rules or to be, you know, put in a certain place or to, you know, not any of, he built us for relationship with him, for communication with him, and he gives us everything we need. And all we have to do is ask. And it is beautiful, and it is life-giving and life-affirming and sustaining, right? So, just, it's good stuff, y'all. Good stuff. Okay. On 195. This is another one that I'm going to make something and print it out. We're all changing, but God isn't. Isn't that beautiful? I think there's something so wonderful about both of those pieces of that statement, that we're all changing. You know, nothing that you're going through right now is permanent. It's not a life sentence. It's really not. What you're dealing with today on this Monday at lunchtime or whatever you're watching this, it is not forever. We're all changing and we go through seasons, but God doesn't change, and nothing about our circumstances will change God. So you can just lean in on him and just know that he is going to be stable and secure, and he will satisfy you through all of that. So, and trust me, like having a toddler, some of our seasons we want to get through. We want those to change, right? We're in some right now that I'm just like, all right, God, we could be done with that one now. Let's just move along. But he knows the right timing for it. So, all right. And I just wanted to read the very last line of her book because it's so wonderful. This is the kingdom, to see like a child, to live loved with my siblings, to work and to dance, and to be filled up like a hollow, howl of laughter, fruit of joy. Y'all, I have just so enjoyed hanging out with you. I hope you've liked these Periscopes, and I hope that you would do another one with me if I picked a book. You'll have to let me know. You can actually, if you have any ideas in the chat, you're welcome to give me some book, or we could do a Bible study, or I don't know. We could do something shorter, probably not longer. I don't have the attention span. That's why I like social media. It's short content. Yay! So I hope that you guys have liked hanging out here, and I've just enjoyed it so much. So thank you for being kind of my guinea pigs with this. I don't know anybody else that's doing a book club on Periscope yet, although you might just want to keep following me on that one. We'll have some fun stuff this fall. But hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and hopefully it gave you a nice easy way to hang out on Periscope where you didn't feel like you necessarily needed to be live yourselves. So thank you for joining me, and I will be on again. If you're doing the Write 31 Days challenge with me, starting next week on Wednesdays, I'll be doing writing tips and encouragement for that. And then on Fridays, I have a couple really special Friday favorites that I'm trying to do with some fun giveaways. So if you have any companies you think that you'd love to see some giveaways from, feel free to send them my way. And we'll keep doing those. And then, you know, I'll do the random ones, like my kiddo trying Cadbury cream eggs for the first time, because that was just funny. She asked me, she's like, Mommy, is it a real egg? No, honey, it is not a real egg. She ate about half of it and gave up. So, more for me. Yay. All right, you guys, I hope that your week is wonderful. Keep an eye out for those people that you can just pour into, that you can recognize the holy potential in them, and just let them know, because it's so important to hear it. And I know and see it in you. So thank you for hanging out with me, for encouraging me with the hearts and the little comments. At Easter, they have chocolate inside. The Cadbury cream eggs, oh, the ones we have here for Easter are just white and yellow on the inside. At Halloween, they're green. So I think that's why she was freaked out. So, all right, you guys, I will talk